Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the September meeting of the Bricktown Urban Design Committee to order. Going through the agenda, Paula, would you please do a roll call?
Sandino Thompson. Omar Curry.
Present.
Jonathan Dotson.
Present.
Ava Scaramucci.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Item number 2, approval of last meeting's minutes. I know both of you weren't part of that meeting, but I'd still entertain a motion if you've reviewed these or if you've seen the video.
I motion to approve the minutes.
I can second that.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item number 3, there are no cases withdrawn. Item number 4, there are no continuance requests. Item number 5 on the consent docket, there are none. Item number 6 is cases for individual consideration. We have a case BCA-16-00013.
Yes, this is the 89er Trail project that Mr. Chuck Wiggin has been pursuing for many years, and he will tell you more about that here in a minute. The project consists of 28 markers throughout downtown and Bricktown. There are 4 locations proposed in Bricktown. There are these are full-scale mock-ups of the face of the marker graphic. The actual design of the stand is different. These are put on music stands for convenience. But the purpose of the project is to tell the story of the land run in physical relationship to where the events actually happened. So the markers would be located. So if you're standing looking at a marker, you would look beyond and see, oh yeah, this is where that general store was. So it covers quite a bit of distance, east, west, north, and south. We've worked for many, many months with Chuck and other stakeholders. We've had some small group meetings with various design commissioners. We've talked through accessibility concerns. We've talked through the details of where these are located, what color they are, what orientation they're facing. Tomorrow, the balance of the markers will be heard at the downtown design review meeting. So with that, I will let Chuck speak to more of the idea.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here and to tell you about this project, which, as Lisa said, has been a long time in coming, but we're very pleased to be close to the finish line on the city approvals. I think I've met with some of you previously to talk about individual situations. 2 of these markers would be located in front of Avis' store on Sheridan. The 3rd one on Sheridan is directly across the street in front of the parking lot that's owned by the Brewers, and the 4th is located in front of the ballpark. And those are all detailed in the materials that were submitted. Do you have copies of these, or were these? Okay. So I'm happy to walk through these in as much detail as you would like. I don't know that I can add much to what Lisa has told you, but I'm happy to start from square one or just answer your questions.
I just have a quick question in regard to, one, this is pretty awesome. So I'm already thinking about how we're going to get my 4 kids and ride our bikes around and look at all these. But is there any kind of, have you guys looked at an app or anything like that to help kind of with the process, or has Downtown OKC looked at that?
Very much so.
Okay.
There will be a website. In fact, there is a website. It's a dummy that's up right now called 89ertrail.com. So if you stop at any particular marker and you say, my Lord, this 4th of July celebration, this is too amazing, I want to know more about it, you just go to your browser, put in 89ertrail.com, and it'll call up the marker that you're standing at. So that part of the website will have additional pictures, additional stories, questions and answers. Basically, it's a way of getting in more depth on a historical topic that we're trying to tell the story of in about 3 pictures and 150 words. So just by its nature, although that looks like it's got a lot of information on it, and it doesn't begin to tell the story of the 4th of July. You know, how it happened, who did it, what the consequences were of the stadium seats collapsing, what other activities took place, you know, the Indian portion of the celebration. There are all kinds of things that some people might be curious about, and of course you can get as much or as little as you want on here. I think that these markers, we spend a lot of time wrestling with what do you put on a marker. In fact, you know, the whole question of how big the markers are and what does somebody want to see. And to give you a little taste of this, some people have felt that we ought to keep these as small as possible so that they don't have too big an impact on the visual clutter of the streetscape. Others have thought, well, if you don't have it there for people to run into, they're really not going to encounter much history. And so we've kind of ended up in what I think is a mid-range where these individual markers measure 2 feet by 3 feet. They are at a scale that makes them fairly easy to read. You know, we're not too worried about whether somebody's going to be able to read the small print or whether the picture is going to be easy to see. But still, these will be markers that are encountered. You know, for most people, they're not going to be going to a specific marker for a specific story. They're much more likely to run across them. You know, when you go to Avis's store, you walk out and there are 2 of them in front of the store. You go to the ballpark and you happen to see the sign over here and you think, well, I wonder what that is. And you walk over and you see the pictures, you see the poster of the celebration, and you think, oh, that's kind of cool. You read the caption, and that may be all you get. But there's a lot more to it. And so each marker has a map that shows where all the other markers are. They've been placed in locations where from any one marker you can, not always, but you can usually see another marker. So you think, oh, okay, there's one over there, I want to go look at that. And so we're trying to encourage people, we're trying to hook people with some teaser information about a story that's part of that first year of Oklahoma City's development. And, you know, we could do 50 of these stories, or we could have done 10. But let me tell you, it's really hard to think about how you would whittle this down to 10 stories. It was an amazing year. There was a lot going on. We think we've hit the highlights of the historically significant political issues of a community that was founded without any formal law. Basically, the federal government, Congress, authorized, and the president responded with a proclamation that opened the unassigned lands to non-Indian settlement. And this was a long time in coming. When it did come, some people played by the rules, some didn't. It was chaotic. There were no federal authorities enforcing laws because there were no laws. And so people had to make them up as they went along. And so it was, you know, it was sort of pure democracy. You know, I mean, there was nothing there except what the people who were there could do to work things out and make their lives as productive as possible. And it's a pretty remarkable story. Some things were more successful than others. There was a lot of dissension. There was controversy. The first mayor had to resign. Didn't have to, but he chose to resign in November of that first year because he was under so much criticism, and he had some other interests just to the west of town that he wanted to protect, where his homestead was. So all of these, and then around the first anniversary of the land run, a rival claimant shot him in the leg, and 2 weeks later he was dead of gangrene. So, and then on the first anniversary of the land run, they had a funeral with about 5,000 people there to commemorate this first mayor. So there are stories like that, and we're trying to tell a little bit of them, but we can't tell them all, and so that's why, long answer, but that's why we've got the website.
Well, I have been a bit involved with this just over time because we've had lots of discussions on the various locations throughout downtown. First of all, I think it's so wonderful that Bricktown, Core of Bricktown has, we know we're rich in history, and I think this is certainly a meaningful way to express and let people know about that. I think one of the wonderful things about these markers is there's been so much success with the architectural walks and some of the other walks that over time have come through downtown. And to me, this is one of those, a guided tour of markers, just like the guided tour of the architectural. And I must say, to your credit, if I understand correctly, there was no ordinance, there was nothing that in the City of Oklahoma City's books that addressed this kind of signage. Am I correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So you had to really start from scratch and get to the point where there was something that allowed this. And so I think it's just a wonderful project. And you're right, it doesn't tell the whole story, but hopefully it'll get people interested enough that they'll learn the rest of the story.
You bet.
And Michael Hightower, wasn't he instrumental?
Yes. This idea had been percolating along for a number of years. Bob Blackburn and I would talk about it, and Bob would say, what can I do to help? And I would say, well, I have a day job. I'm having a hard time making the time to do all the work, do all the research. So I met Michael and learned that he'd been writing books about Oklahoma history and other things, and I told him what we were trying to do, and he said, oh, that sounds great, I'd love to help. And so I entered into an agreement with Michael to basically underwrite a book about the 89er Trail. And the thought at the time was that in writing a book, the stories that we would want to put on markers would just fall out of that, and we'd just take, a glimpse of this and a glimpse of that. And to some degree, that's what's happened, but it's turned out to be much more complicated than that. And so Michael is still at work on his book. It's not completed at this point, but I hope that, within a year or so, that we'll have a book. Michael is hoping that the OU Press will publish the book. Those arrangements are not finalized yet, but he does have a completed draft, first draft of the book. And so Michael's work has been very helpful to what we've done. We've also had 4 other members besides Michael and myself. We've had a total of 5 members on what we've called our editorial advisory board. And the purpose of the editorial advisory board has been to ensure that the history that we're telling, after all this is going to be out in the public, where everybody has access to it, we want to be sure that the history is accurate, it's legitimate, it's a story that we can stand behind, that everybody can feel that the story is being accurately told. And so all of these markers have been vetted with our editorial advisory committee, and they will continue to serve in an advisory capacity with the website and with any changes or future things that come along that pertain to the trail.
Thank you.
Any other comments? I think it's a very simple and elegant way to tell history. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to point out two things. One, so the markers are not a gift to the city. They are going to be owned and managed and maintained by a fund set up at the Community Foundation. Because the markers are larger than what is ordinarily permitted in the right-of-way, they need a variance. So pay attention to that. In your motion, we'll need to recommend the variance. And Chuck's going to go to the design review committees. He's already been to HP Commission, and then he'll get the variance, hopefully, and then it will queue up to City Council, who will approve the big revocable that allows these to be installed.
So what we're looking for is a motion to
approve with the condition that he gets the variance, and then make a recommendation to the Board of Adjustment to approve the variance.
That's a long recommendation.
Right. So it's in your staff report. I just wanted to point it out.
So I would entertain a motion.
I will second that motion.
No, you got to say
Okay, Jonathan, you're up. Come on.
To install 4 historical markers with the variance. Is that satisfactory? With the condition that they get a variance?
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed. Motion carries. Recommendation for the variance to the Board of Adjustments? Oh, so we have to have 2 now.
I make a motion that well, I don't know what I'm motioning here. What?
Recommend approval of the variance to the Board of
Oh,
Adjustment.
the Bricktown Urban Design Committee recommends approval to the Board of Adjustments.
I second that. Great motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate your support. I would also like to say that Lisa has been extraordinarily helpful in this whole process. I had no idea when we were starting out that there were so many different stakeholders downtown who would want to pass on this. Of course, it makes perfect sense that downtown is the center, the heart of Oklahoma City, and so I just hadn't thought it through very carefully. Lisa did thoroughly, talked to a lot of people, and we wouldn't be this far along without her help. So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, Lisa, you mentioned that it's funded privately. I think it's so admirable that everyone thought of that on the front end, and that there is a way to maintain these and to build upon what you have instead of getting them all out there and then not knowing how we're going to take care of them. So thank you both for that.
All right, moving along, item number 7, other business. Item number 8, Mark is not with us today, so we will continue this item for the next meeting.
Just need a motion to.
I motion that we continue this item to the next meeting.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number B, election of officers. Need one of you to make a motion.
Omar, the chair can't make motions, so.
I'll make a motion. I motion that we approve Can we do that, or
But
what?
you'll need to nominate somebody for a particular
Yeah,
position.
we're on number,
So are you electing a chair and a vice chair?
You could continue, somebody could motion that we continue it to the next meeting if you don't feel prepared to elect at this meeting.
No, I'm fully comfortable electing. Omar's looking at me. I would like to either elect, or can I put, well, Omar as chair. We need a second for that.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to abstain.
You're going to vote for yourself?
So we also need to elect a vice chair.
Why
Why don't you let Avis do the second one?
I was going to put her as vice chair. Had this covered.
So what is it that I need to do?
Nominate someone for vice chair, somebody other than Omar.
I don't know that I'm really prepared to do this. Who currently serves on this committee? Mark is no longer.
Yeah, it's Sandino,
Sandino, Jonathan,
Jonathan,
Omar.
Omar, and you. There's only 4.
Oh, there's only the 4. Are we thinking there will be a...
There will be, right now, we're down 1. When the new ordinance goes into effect, we'll need, we're adding another one.
Okay.
Or 2 more, yeah.
Well, Jonathan, why don't you fill that seat?
I was going to vote for you. I was going to nominate you. So.
Well, I thank you for that, but I feel like that I'm kind of new again, and
Okay.
that I would like to be here a while before I take on a...
Okay.
Okay? So I nominate Jonathan Dotson.
Can I have a second? Can I second?
So I have to second my own nomination? Oh, my gosh. I second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Abstain. Can I abstain?
And
I have
you
to vote for myself.
seconded, you
Yes,
seconded.
you can vote for yourself.
You can't participate, right?
If you want to abstain, you can.
I would like to do that. Thanks.
Motion carries.
Wow, this is...
Item number C, consideration of possible action on the 2017 meeting scheduled.
Yeah, 2017 is a long way away, but we'll be here before you know it, and we're required to post the 2017 schedule by the first part of December. So while everybody is convened, it's the same. It's the same pattern of meetings in terms of the second Wednesdays, same place.
Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
I second the motion to approve the Urban Design Committee calendar year meeting dates.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I probably should have done this at the beginning of the meeting, but I'd like to recognize Avis for being the newest member of the committee, even though you've served on this committee previously, but it's good to see you and have you on the team.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Item number 8, communications, administrative approval report.
Yeah, we just have 3 items from the past month that's been administratively approved by staff. 2 of those, number 1 and 3, are signage approvals. Item number 2 is a series of revisions to the parking lot at the southeast corner of Sheridan and Joe Carter.
Do we look at all of these as one item, or do we?
It's just a report.
Okay.
They've already been
These all
issued.
have all been
If you
already
have
been.
questions, we can answer, but there's no action.
Are there any comments from committee?
Is it on all three of these items that we're talking about? You just...
Yeah, we're
Two.
just reporting out what has
Okay.
happened, so you'll be informed.
So I do have a question. On item number 3, the EMD sign,
Yes.
is that now approved that those signs can be in Bricktown, in core of Bricktown?
Under the current regulations,
Are we still on
it's
the...
pretty ambiguous as to whether EMD signs are allowed or not, and since it's nothing that says they're prohibited, we just looked at it as a regular sign, and it wasn't a very big sign. It's only 6 square feet, I believe. And it's only on the bottom of a parking lot sign just to let people know whether it's full or empty.
Okay.
So at this point, it's not earth-shattering type of application. Under the new regulations, we've made a point to be very specific about EMD signs and what is and what is not allowed.
Okay.
So, but those don't take effect until, you'll see later on the agenda on September 17th.
This year? Thank you.
All right, item number 8B, City Council.
So we had new, kind of rearranged appointments. So Omar's old seat is vacant, and then when the new, right now, and then when the new ordinance takes effect in a couple of days, we'll have space for 2 additional. So,
Okay.
so far, nobody has been appointed.
Item C, comments from Planning Department staff.
No, no comments. Oh, number 2. Yeah, we mentioned it's going into effect in a couple of days. And we'll get you, we've prepared a new handout. We will get that to you sometime soon. Probably put it in the mail, I guess.
Item number D, 8D, are there any comments from committee?
No.
All right, next meeting date is October 12th. Do we have things on the agenda, or?
Yeah, we do have items for that agenda.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
A motion that we adjourn the meeting?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.